actors, directors, set designers and choreographers received condas for their work throughout the year. But the night wasn't all presentations. The audience was also entertained with excerpts from the various shows. The top awards went to Sean Newey for Statements, Gary McLean for Wozak, Julie Hudspeth for The Man from Muckanuppin, Julie McGregor for Big River, and Jonathan Higgins for The Man from Muckanuppin. The Commonwealth Bank Award for the Performance of the Year was awarded to Carol Davis for Kid Stakes.
Some great music, and thank Arnie Nemi.
Yes, I've been saying this, for 10 years, I think, and finally last year they brought one to Newcastle, which was successful, even though you had bad weather, and it kept it down to 2 games. It's essential for the future of the game in New South Wales that we get away from Sydney all the time, play them in the Sydney grade competition areas, somewhere out Penrith, come to areas such as Newcastle, some of the other areas. Why not Tamworth? We would get good support, as we've proved in the Tooheys matches in these areas. It's a matter of promoting it, bringing it into the centres outside of Sydney, and you'll get big crowds.
Well, the point I was going to make, the Tooheys games really open it up for the Shield people to follow now, because you've always had good crowds and good attendances.
Well, this is right. We normally get 4,000 or 5,000 of a Wednesday afternoon for the Tooheys matches. We had 8,000 down in Canberra about 4 weeks ago. With the right promotion and the assistance of the people in the media up here, you should get 8,000 or 9,000 to a Shield match.
Your comments on New South Wales' performance yesterday?
Do I have to? It's been very much part and parcel of what they've done for about the last 10 years now. They're not winners. I'm sure they've forgotten how to win, and they seem to get into a situation where you get a slide on, they can't do anything about it. They're just, I think, a little irresponsible in the way that they approach their batting.
Conceded all was now clear for the base to be established.
Council has made that decision.
So you must be pleased to really see the rescue helicopter have a permanent base in Newcastle.
I want the helicopter rescue people to have a permanent base. I think every one of us does, but I'm never happy about filching open space or parkland.
But the Labor rescission motion takes the issue back to square one. Although it has been discussed for some years, Alderman Foley said he didn't want the council to rush in.
The main reason I moved it was because I believe there is about to be an announcement on release of land by the SRA, and that is down in at the bottom end of Hannell Street.
Well, the Rescue Service says quite plainly that area is not acceptable to them. They say they've been through that so many times.
Well, Jim, right from the start, I'm sorry to have to say this, but it seems that there's certain people operating the helicopter determined that the only place they will go is District Park, and I don't think that is right. I think this land should be looked at, and I think there is a chance that it could be suitable.
Terry, one objection voiced was that the service might outgrow the base here in District Park. What's the likelihood of that happening?
Well, I only wish there was a chance of it becoming a bit bigger, Jim, but unfortunately with funding the way it is and it being a volunteer honorary organisation, I think there's absolutely nil chance of it getting any bigger than what it already is.
For Alderman Don Geddes, the council's about face on the rescue chopper base is almost too much.
Well, after last night, I'm ashamed to be an alderman in this council, particularly when I see what happens. They're concerned about the heliport becoming used by other commercial interests. That's not on. It's not going to happen. Their objections to the heliport are totally unreal.
The annual 1 metre diving championship got underway in Newcastle today, with the Women's Open event attracting much of the attention. 16 entries from around the state competed in the titles. Each competitor was required to perform 10 dives, for which they received a score from those judging. Newcastle's Deanne Delaney proved she was a force to be reckoned with when she came third in the final point score. But it was last year's champion, Sue Brown from Sydney, who took out the honours again this year. Judging by this forward 1.5 plus twist, it's easy to see why. And for those who missed today's diving, there is still the chance to see the 1 metre men's Open Championship tomorrow.
The Glendale Coal Company, a joint venture between Dalgety's and Renison Goldfields, wants to develop a 3.6 million tonne a year open cut near Ravensworth. At the inquiry today, the company told Commissioners Woodward and Gilpin that the proposed mine could be in production by 1985 and would employ 590 people. But even the coal company doesn't deny the open cut would disrupt the rural environment. In a roundabout statement, the company says the mine would contribute to the existing trend of residents depending less on their properties and more on alternative sources of income. The residents opposing the mine also admit they see little hope of stopping the development, but that doesn't mean they're ready to accept it.
My family has had this, my property, for some 130 years. That's my only way of life, and I don't see why I should be covered in dust and pollution and lose my way of income for some mining company to open up and take out profits for a few years and ruin agricultural land that could be there for life, for my children, my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren.
The house is being finished off right now at Marylands, on land donated by Bellway Proprietary Limited at its Marylands Heights estate. The structure is known as the Earlwood Settler. It's a 3-bedroom brick veneer structure, and it'll come complete with all fixed furnishings and landscaping, and it's donated by A.V. Jennings Homes.
Contracts sealing the cooperation of Bellway, Jennings and NBN Limited were signed by representatives of the 3 organisations, and within days the project was underway.
And out the back there'll be a swimming pool donated by Frank Kelly Pool and Spa Leisure Services, and in the garage, well, at the moment there's a bobcat, but there will be a speedboat complete with outboard motor and trailer. Inside there'll be $5,000 worth of furniture and as well a complete colour video system and stereo system. And the total value of the prize is $113,507. All can be won for the price of a $2 ticket. The organiser of the NBN Telethon, Mr. Brian Newman, said when speaking about the donators of this prize that it really is a great example of the public spirit of Hunter Valley businessmen when a gesture of this nature is offered.
Today was the last day of the sales at Waratah. Many of the buyers have been coming here for years. This was the final time.
The big figures done, bid all out, $106 on a video done, you all out done, Ray.
You took me on there, you old bugger, for the last day.
There are those who have been involved with the sale yards almost from the beginning, like Jack Windier. His father traded here as far back as 1911. Jack carried on the family tradition after the war. Other long-term agents like John Comerford are being forced to take their business elsewhere.
We're going to transfer the Thursday sale date from here to Maitland. We'll be starting there on the 13th of January. Will be the first Thursday sale in Maitland, but it will only be for sheep and cattle. Maitland will be the normal Monday sale with all stock being offered for sale, but Thursday all the agents are participating. It will be just for sheep and cattle only.
So it's not really much of a problem?
Not for me personally, no. I think it's not, it's sadness, I think, as all that's happening to us. We've been here for so long.
The abattoir, which opened a few years after the sale yards, will close on the 31st of December. Workers have already been given their notices and are due to finish up tomorrow. However, it's expected they'll continue on until the end of the month. It is then the council may have to take action to remove them, if they go ahead with a threatened work-in. Retail outlets has been stepped up. Many are using store detectives to help curb the problem. One retailer claimed that up to 20 offenders a month were apprehended during the normal period. Most stores keep a record of each offender and the information is passed on to police. One security officer, Mr. Cliff Fraser, says he doesn't think people realise the full implications of shoplifting.
We find that quite a few of them don't know the full implications of what can happen to them when they are charged and arrested and taken to a police station, fingerprinted, and eventually finish up with a criminal record. Particularly, it's sad for the younger people. I'm talking about the people under 18 years of age who might be only in second year at high school at the time when they're arrested, and the thing doesn't come against them until probably 2 or 3 years later when they go out into the job market looking for employment.
And in the Northern Territory?
Well, there's two pieces of information. The first one is by interviewing the black trackers who are there at the night. Strangely enough, most people have ignored the black trackers. They weren't even called to give evidence at the trial. But we've spent quite a lot of time with the black trackers who did the tracking on the night and the following days, and they have been able to tell us which particular dingo it was. It could be identified by its paw marks. They've been able to show us the path that the dingo followed, and they are quite convinced that a dingo did it, to the point that they know which dingo it was, and they in fact killed the dingo involved 3 days later.
But a person was involved in the disposal of the body, is that right?
Yes, an individual who was at Ayers Rock at the time let slip a comment of involvement, and that comment was given to Queensland Police in April this year. It was passed over to Northern Territory Police, but it possibly was left in the area of rumour because Northern Territory Police didn't follow it up at the time. We've since supplied a lot of information to Queensland Police. Queensland Police have done a lot of work on their own since the trial ended. They supplied a 400-page report to the Northern Territory Police about 3 weeks ago, detailing this new evidence, and the Northern Territory Police are then following that line of inquiry.
Let's show that one.
South Wales started cautiously, and Dyson was lucky to survive this confident appeal by the Victorians. However, he was out in McCurdy's next over, caught by Julian Weiner at second slip when the New South Wales score was 16. Trevor Chappell came to the crease and set about the Victorian bowling with his glorious cover drive. New South Wales skipper Rick McCosker was also in good form, and as the Victorians found out, you shouldn't bowl to McCosker's leg stump. However, Ian Callan struck back for the Victorians when he had Trevor Chappell bowled, playing on. The New South Wales score at this stage was 48. Dirk Wellham came to the crease and with a magnificent cut got off the mark. McCosker proved that you don't have to hit the ball terribly hard, but just use magnificent timing as the on-drives balk him to the fence for 4. Dirk Wellen was also in great form this morning, and here sweeps Bright for 4 runs. And New South Wales go to lunch at 2 for 91. Where are you up to? Here. The scoreboard was ticking over well, and McCosker off the edge, wide of third slip, down to the fence for 4, and New South Wales go to lunch at 2 for 91.